Tzu Chi volunteers in the United States distribute cash cards to Hurricane Irma victims in Miami's Immokalee. Tzu Chi volunteers from Central Taiwan prepared housing and food for the 2017 TIMA convention in Hualien. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Siri Su. Thank you for joining us. At the beginning of September, Hurricane Irma swept through Florida in the United States, forcing millions of people to evacuate. Among the affected areas is Miami's Immokalee, an agricultural center where many immigrants live. This disaster has made their living conditions even worse. To help them get through this tough time, Tzu Chi volunteers from Miami, Orlando, and Washington, D.C. put their work aside to help distribute cash cards and aid supplies to the victims, in hopes of helping them get back on their feet.
At the beginning of this month, Hurricane Irma tore through Florida, forcing over 660,000 people in Miami-Dade County to evacuate. The most serious time was when 13 million people had no electricity, and many people's homes were devastated. This is the aid distribution held by Tzu Chi. Volunteers from Miami, Orlando, and Washington, D.C. all put their work aside to come here to help with relief work. This disaster took away Nicola's job and homes. He migrated from Guatemala, and he is the main financial support of a family of 5. This misfortune makes him burst into tears of helplessness.
People will be out of work for a few months. You have brought into our community is going to go a long way into helping the families reestablish themselves and go back to some normalcy. So on behalf of our community, I want to thank you, and we love you.
Local residents also joined the volunteers' ranks to serve the residents.
Many of them who are just migrant workers that have lost jobs, homes. Right now we're up in Immokalee where most of the population are migrant workers from all over the world. These people are so excited and grateful.
Staff members of a local church also prepared vegetarian set meals for hurricane victims. In addition to distributing aid supplies and cash cards, the volunteers also leave the contacts of the victims to make sure they can get back on their feet with their continuous care.
In the aftermath of Hurricane Harvey, Tzu Chi volunteers continue to deliver disaster relief assistance. On October 1st, they held a large-scale aid distribution for disaster victims in Jefferson and Hardy counties. This is also the 30th aid distribution Tzu Chi volunteers have held for Hurricane Harvey victims. Among the Tzu Chi volunteers comforting the hurricane victims, 2 of them are Tzu Chis from Fordham University in New York.
I want to help people here in Houston because I just believe in Tzu Chi's values of compassionate relief, and I can see their suffering and all their stories really touch my heart. So I just want to try to help the best way I can.
Maria is a college senior participating in disaster relief work for the first time. Crystal, who's beside her, is the president of Tzu Chi Collegiate Association at Fordham University.
To be honest, I just feel extremely lucky to be out here helping Tzu Chi. I was back in New York doing the street collection for Hurricane Harvey victims in New York, but I didn't think I would have the opportunity to come do intake and really hear the stories from the victims themselves. So it's really just been a great experience overall, and it's truly touching, and I'm glad that I'm here spreading our great love and compassion with all the people out in Houston.
Many hurricane victims feel touched by Tzu Chi's story of bamboo bank era and therefore donate their coins.
They're giving to us, and they'll have somebody to give back, and that's why I put mine in, and I was gonna fill it up, because I have a bag, and this is generous, and I do thank you guys. This is a blessing.
And 2 Asian kids are looking for coins for their coin banks.
What are you going to do with the penny?
Put it in this one.
As the cycle of love continues, many disaster victims are also helping other affected residents.
Well, actually, we don't have a home anymore. We live with some friends right now. They're helping out, and we're helping out. We're helping out everybody because we know everybody's in the same situation we are. So we'll do anything and everything to help as many people as possible.
This distribution in Beaumont is Tzu Chi's 30th distribution for hurricane victims. The CEO of Tzu Chi Texas chapter feels emotional at the occasion.
hope the Master will allow us to continue the work after we return from Taiwan. By then, more people might come back. Although it is very challenging, we are willing to do the work.
Despite the difficulties, the Tzu Chi volunteers are determined to continue helping the hurricane victims. China started to implement a one-child policy in 1980. So once the only child of these families passes away, these families will become childless. Currently, there are over 1 million such families, with many elderly people in these families suffering from chronic diseases. To give them better access to medical care, Tzu Chi volunteers in Liaoning collaborated with local governments and a hospital to hold a free clinic.
After their only child passed away due to an accident, this couple supports each other. Over 1 million families in China have lost their only child. Over the past 6 months, Tzu Chi volunteers found that many family members in Liaoning's Benxi who lost their only child delayed their medical treatment. Therefore, Tzu Chi decided to collaborate with Benxi's Health and Family Planning Commission as well as a local hospital to hold a free clinic.
Being able to come here and have a health checkup, I want to thank the government and Tzu Chi. You brought me wisdom, and you are willing to serve the public. I feel very grateful.
Song Baofu, who accompanied his wife to come here, finally feels at ease.
Thank you so much. We are one family. You are right. Let's work hard together.
Through this activity, each family member can work together. Something that I want to highly praise is that actually there are not many volunteers in Benxi, but they can still take good care of the loss of only child families, which has earned the government's recognition.
As the Confucius said, those who are willing to serve others will never lack for strength. After the free clinic has concluded, local leaders, doctors, and Tzu Chi volunteers studied the analogues of Confucius together, spreading love to those in need.
Tzu Chi volunteers in Western China spent 2 days making home visits to more than 300 households in Jingtan County's Hualien Township prior to this year's winter aid distribution. Among the residents who Tzu Chi cared for is 66-year-old Guan Jueming. After he was invited to do recycling at a Tzu Chi recycling station, he found the joy of recycling.
Prior to this year's winter aid distribution in Jingtan County's Hualien Township, Tzu Chi volunteers have to visit more than 300 households.
Nearly 200 volunteers in Western China took 52 different routes to visit 25 communities.
Checking the residents' living environments and listening to their thoughts, 67-year-old Zheng Xuebi started to live alone after her 17-year-old grandson left home for part-time work.
You guys are very kind. You're quite concerned about us.
To create more opportunities for interpersonal interactions, Tzu Chi volunteers invite 66-year-old Guan Jueming to help out at the recycling education station for 2 days. After doing this good deed, Mr. Guan has become happier.
I always feel lonely. Sometimes when friends come visit me, I may feel quite happy. Everybody feels happy to gather together and talk to each other. Even when I work like this, I also feel happy.
During the process of processing recyclables, Mr. Guan gradually realized that this mission helps protect the environment as well as give a helping hand to those in need.
Last year, due to Typhoon attack, Tzu Chi volunteers held several emergency relief aid in Licheng district in Fujian province. That same year, winter aid distributions were held for the impoverished in the area, earning the respect of Licheng district government authorities. Local authorities not only asked Tzu Chi to continue their aid distribution this year, but also to expand the love to Huangshi town. Let's take a look at initial home visitations to 38 villages.
65 volunteers are on a bus heading towards Huangshi town in Fujian. They separate into teams to visit 38 villages alongside the leaders of each village, as they are quite familiar with the situation of each family and their needs. Zhang Jingshu takes the volunteers up the stairs to visit his disabled granddaughter, who is blind and unable to take care of herself. When Zhang's wife is reminded of the passing of her daughter and her son-in-law who has abandoned his family, tears fall uncontrollably. The two's hope for the future lies in their grandson, who's currently in vocational school.
You must be grateful for your grandfather as he works hard to support you two. You must also take care of your grandfather, grandmother, and sister. I believe you can do it. Do you believe you can?
Huangshi town is made up of mostly poor families. In this initial visit to the area, volunteers found many of the families have members who are disabled or others who should be enjoying their retirement but have to bear the burden of making ends meet for the family. Thankfully, Tzu Chi volunteers have brought their monthly magazine to help these residents open up their minds and learn to see the brighter side of life. It's love like this that continues to help these residents get through the difficult times.
Mid-Autumn Festival coincides with TIMA's annual convention, which takes place in Hualien. To welcome doctors from 21 countries, volunteers from Central Taiwan prepare housing and food for TIMA members, ensuring everything goes off perfectly.
TIMA members will soon arrive, and Tzu Chi volunteer Taimei, who is responsible for decorations, is quite busy, using the Dharma to create an attractive venue.
We're trying to turn this cold interior space into something that is softer and warmer, giving these doctors a relaxing environment to calm their minds when they come back.
Behind the scenes are many volunteers from Central Taiwan doing the hard work of decorating the venue and setting out all of the chairs as well as tables and tablecloths, ensuring that each is perfectly flat.
We provided all types of services from the beginning to the end, and if we are busy or not, we always keep a smile on our face as we try to do the best job possible.
For the first time, Nantou volunteers are upholding their commitment to environmental protection by using seasonal ingredients to give overseas doctors an authentic taste of Taiwan.
This time we have 4 main themes with snacks being made, like homemade Caotun glutinous dumplings, and Zhusan sweet potato and Puli's Manchurian wild rice and bamboo shoots.
These volunteers never stop working, and during idle time they clean all of these rooms to allow TIMA members to feel like coming to Hualien is just like going home.
In our next report, we meet Tzu Chi's first volunteer in Venezuela, Wu Ranyun. She has been living in Venezuela for over 30 years, and now she runs a supermarket there. After she joined Tzu Chi 3 years ago, she and her husband have been helping underprivileged people. She recently came to Taiwan for Tzu Chi 41 camp and has vowed to do good deeds forever.
One ethnic Chinese person is working in a shanty town in Venezuela. She is Wu Ranyun, and she is Tzu Chi's first volunteer in Venezuela. She has returned to Taiwan for an event and has again revisited her initial vow.
I came to Taiwan to see the master with other volunteers. I'm grateful to the master that I can do good deeds in Tzu Chi's name.
She has never shied away from giving hugs to others. The political unrest in Venezuela has put its people into a dire situation, but she has been helping them. Her husband, Liu Yanran, has been her biggest supporter.
I've seen her helping many people in Venezuela, so I'm moved. I'm happy to help people who need it.
She went to Texas to help with a distribution after Hurricane Harvey and was moved to tears. She runs a supermarket in Venezuela. Although there is inflation, she still sells goods at a loss instead of hiking up prices because she wants people to afford food.
Many people have said I was silly to sell goods at these prices. I've seen many places that are very poor, but they're safe because Tzu Chi was there.
Even though Wu Ruanyun lives in a chaotic environment, she tries her best to overcome difficulties and will not slack off in doing good deeds.
In our next report, we meet one of this year's Excellent Teacher Award winner, Chen Zhirong. He's a special education teacher of Hualien Elementary School in Taipei. As he is a hearing-impaired patient himself, he has designed a special teaching method, which incorporates sign language with colloquial language, allowing children to communicate freely. Before he could become a formal teacher, he even took the National Teachers Examination for 7 times.
Using different colors to distinguish different English words, Chen Zhirong, who is a special education teacher at Taipei's Hualien Elementary School, makes it easier for children to memorize new words.
Teacher Zhirong is also a hearing-impaired patient. He has taken the National Teachers Examination for 7 to 8 times.
37-year-old Chen Zhirong spent 2 years becoming a former teacher. Starting from his own experience, Chen gives the children with special education needs more care, love, and passions.
These are important words picked out from the textbook. This is the picture, and this is the sign language picture. This helps connect the pictures with the words.
With a gentle voice and lively body language, Chen lets children practice repeatedly with sign language in colloquial language. He came up with this special teaching method after he was transferred from the special education school to an ordinary school 4 years ago.
Teachers of ordinary classes usually speak very fast. Even though hearing-impaired children try their best to lip read, they don't really totally understand its meaning. If I can teach them sign language, it will help them receive complete messages.
Teacher Chen obtained Taipei's Education Award and the Ministry of Education's Excellence Teacher Award this year. He hopes through his story he can encourage children to live a colorful life when facing adversities.
Whether schoolwork or interpersonal interactions, I hope I can share my experiences with the children. I'll tell them never to give up because of their hearing problems. As long as they are willing to work hard to overcome difficulties, they will have more opportunities in the future.
In our next report, we meet 75-year-old Chen Shouren, who currently serves as a volunteer science teacher at Tainan's Dongguan Elementary School. In 1990, Tainan's Bureau of Education valued his expertise and therefore sent him to the Children's Science Museum, where he guided students to conduct scientific research. After he retired 10 years ago, he used the space at Dongguan Elementary School to establish a scientific resource center with his own money. Since then, he has been teaching the students about science.
After a lively discussion, the students found the center of gravity and focus has changed while walking in this special pair of shoes. Incorporating science into life, Chen Shouren lets children fall in love with science.
The teacher usually teaches us difficult science in an interesting way.
When we face problems, he may teach us how to solve them. He also teaches us how to conduct the next step in the experiment.
As the group experiments, all of the questions in each group are designed by the children. During the Q&A, there is no distance between the teacher and the students, which helps them stimulate more ideas. Teacher Chen is already 75 years old and he retired 10 years ago. Now he volunteers to teach science.
Children's achievements and hard work, as well as their new discoveries after conducting the experiment, have all become my happiness.
When the teachers and parents of the neighboring schools are willing to send their children here, Teacher Chen will never refuse them.
Taking education as a lifelong mission, Mr. Chen almost has no holidays all year round, as he even brings children outdoors to observe nature and find inspirations. To the students, Chen is like a gracious grandfather.
When we do something happy, we may forget being tired.
In Taiwan, sidewalks are often occupied for illegal uses instead of allowing pedestrians to use them. To correct the situation, the Taichung city government started an investigation on the situation, as it wants to allow the pedestrians to use sidewalks without any problems.
Scooters' plain paths often prevent pedestrians from using the sidewalks freely. Some vendors even use verandas for their businesses, but it leaves no room for people to walk through it. The Taichung city government has toughened up by issuing tickets to scooters that park on sidewalks and demand people to remove their belongings from the verandas. Many people occupy the verandas or sidewalks for personal reasons, and after a while, they consider it normal.
People living on the first floor tend to believe the verandas are their private properties, but according to traffic regulations, they're part of sidewalks, so we will enforce the laws.
Illegal occupancies of sidewalks and verandas simply make the general public inconvenient in walking, but they can be life-threatening to blind people and people with disabilities.
I thought I could simply go straight, but then I saw many signboards, scooters, and fridges from stores blocking my path.
It's very inconvenient because we have to walk to the streets and it can put us in danger.
Lin Pei-zhen cannot see clearly, so for her, she has to walk in and out several times to move forward. This may be easy for ordinary people, but it can be deadly for her. Sometimes she must place her hand before her.
Some signboards are made with metal, so if I hit them, I'll bleed, or some can pierce into the eyes, so they're dangerous.
If sidewalks are not even, it is dangerous to visually impaired people.
I'm afraid of falling down.
There is also this kind of sidewalk with several centimeters in height difference, so it can cause injuries to pedestrians, and this tactile paving appears out of nowhere.
The tactile paving is only placed at the automatic door. You know it is a tactile paving, but you don't know where it leads you to.
Placing goods on verandas or parking scooters there may be convenient for some people for a while, but it can cause danger to people who are visually impaired or physically challenged.
In Taiwan, the 14th Handicap Art Creation Joint Display is being shown at National Dr. Sun Yat-sen Memorial Hall until the 11th. The artworks tell the moving stories of how disabled artists strive despite the setbacks in life. We'll leave you with these images at the end of our program. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.